Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. My name is Mike Amos. His name is Bill Rice Jr. as we start a Wednesday, June the 1st, and we're moving fast toward the 4th of July, and after the 4th of July, everybody starts getting ready for football.
Well, you know, I'm looking at the calendar on the bottom of our screen, and the halfway point of the year will be June 15th,
That's right, yeah.
And then we're downhill. I'm trying to teach my children, especially Jack, about time and increments of time. And so you start with minutes, and then you work up to days, and then weeks, and then months. And then I'm trying to teach them fractions. And so if I could get them to know that June is about the midpoint of the year, and we will be past the halfway point in 2 weeks. Then we're closer to Christmas than not close to Christmas.
It is beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
That's what the kids
all
do.
the year long.
When's Christmas coming? I'll tell you a bet we have.
Here comes Santa Claus. Here comes Santa Claus. I love Christmas.
I know it. I know you do. Picking up my kids at Troy Elementary School every day, we go by the jail that's under construction.
Yeah.
And I've got a bet with the kids, Maggie and Jack.
You told her that was just a big hotel, didn't
you? Yeah. I said, my bet is, you know, we're watching this building go up. I said, I bet they will be done with it by Christmas. And the kids said, no, it'll be after Christmas. And so we're watching real closely. We got a little small bet on. So that will be, if they are done with that building, they will be done with it in about 6.5 months. But that's me trying to teach them about construction and time as well.
Well, you know, yesterday was a couple of big announcements. One of them is Troy University opens their football season against the Ole Miss Rebels in Oxford, and it's going to be on Saturday. I didn't pick up.
Well, it's September 3rd.
September the 3rd in Oxford, Mississippi, and it's on. And the kickoff is at
3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, and boy, a perfect time to
hot,
drive
right?
to. Yeah, it's going to be real hot, but it'll be a great time to drive to Oxford, Mississippi to watch the Trojans play. You know, they got these stickers you put on the car. And it says, "We're going to watch the Trojans play."
I love it.
Hopefully there'll be a lot of people, but that's big news. First of all,
and it's going to be on the SEC network.
Yeah,
right?
SEC network, and at 3 o'clock, and so it's a perfect time to watch the football game and pull the Trojans on to victory.
There will be a lot of people watching that ball game.
Oh yeah, no question. And then another announcement was made yesterday that Pike Liberal Arts has hired Hugh Fountain as their next football coach. Hugh Fountain, a veteran football coach, 16 years at Charles Henderson, 7 years at, and I keep, not Bruton, not T.R. Miller, but W.S. Neal High School in Bruton. And then recently, I want to say he's coached 9 years at Escambia High School in Atmore. Has taken them to 2 state championships.
You know, Coach Fountain must have got started as the head coach real young. He's not that. He's my age. I mean, he's about maybe a year older than me.
He's got plenty of. I want you to hear that this morning, Coach. You got plenty of years left.
But he's been a coach for about 30 years.
Yeah.
I would say he's approximately 57 years old, maybe.
And they were all good schools, big schools,
So he must have been a head coach in his mid to late 20s. He played for Troy. He was the backup center on the national championship team, I think.
Yeah, he played in the offensive line, and not a real big guy, but he was a fundamentally sound football player, and played for.
He probably
Jay Jeffcoat.
I bet Jay Jeff. Isn't that funny that he probably played for Coach Jeffcoat?
Yeah.
Who was at Charles Henderson? I would say Coach Jeffcoat was at Charles Henderson longer than anybody except Coach Fountain. I think Coach Fountain was the coach at Charles Henderson longer than anybody else.
That's right. 16 years of hard labor.
It is hard labor.
In fact, there's been one state championship since they've been keeping up with those things. Was in 1980 when the Charles Henderson Trojans went 13-0 and won the state championship.
Isn't that hard to believe that that's the last time that Charles Henderson won a state championship?
And they ran a no-huddle wishbone and with I don't even know if he weighed 150 pounds. He might have weighed 145 pounds. Was a quarterback on that team. And
who was the third string quarterback?
What?
Who was the third string quarterback?
Bill Rice Jr.
That's right, number 12.
So, I can hear him right now. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? Number 12. And then they come out with Bill Rice Jr. comes into the ball game for the first time tonight, and there goes the final gun.
Robert Lewis kept the stats, and you can look it up. Bill Rice Jr. had 1 carry in 1980.
And he went off right tackle and play fails to gain. Is that right?
Robert, I think he was very generous. He gave me 3 yards on that.
3 yards and a bit of dust.
I don't think I got 3 yards.
Who was it against, do you know?
Yeah, it was against, I want to say it was against Headland and, mop-up duty.
Yeah, mop-up duty.
But, yeah, I can still remember the plays. It was real simple. We ran this no-huddle offense, and it was...
Did you read...
26 was the quarterback option keeper. 28 was you pitch it. 24 was you hand it off, or the belly play, you put it in the fullback's belly and give it to him behind Joey Dennison.
And he probably told you probably had to read that play.
I never could figure it out, but Barry Tucker could do it. I mean, it's called the triple option for a reason. You got to quickly read the tackle, decide if you're going to give that ball to Jerry Beverly or not. If the tackle comes down, getting ready to tackle Jerry, you pull it out. Then you run down and you read the defensive end. If he goes towards the running back, you keep it up in that little slot and get as much.
I was trying to figure out who the running backs were on that team.
Well, I'll tell you. Let me finish my triple option
excuse me.
Then you either keep it in that little seam, or if the defensive end comes down and tackles you, you do what? You pitch it.
Pitch it, yeah.
And
hopefully you pitch it before you tackled.
That's your. That's a lot of reading you have to do in a very short period of time.
I've seen that.
Mike Turk could do it, and Barry Tucker could do it.
I've seen it backfire on him. I told one day you heard me say about that time down in Op. We were back. All we had to do was just hold on the football one play, and it's over with. We pitched the ball back. They picked it up and ran for a touchdown.
I'll tell you what happened.
We lost the game of Op.
I was a senior. Of course, I was out with a knee injury. I got hurt right in preseason practice, but I was on the sidelines watching, and my buddy Ed Black was the quarterback by then, and Ed read it perfect, pitched it perfect, and I won't name the running back, hit him right in the numbers, but he dropped it, and then Op fell on it at about the 6-yard line. And
I want to say they picked it up and ran it in.
They might have, and we had a sure victory that was
at Op.
We lost our first game, which was that was the same that season. That team finished 5-5. But there was only one team that really beat us soundly. That was Stanhope Elmore. Yeah. Every one of those other losses, we could have. And then
they had a running back named Elder. Isn't that right? Elder.
Andrew Gilder.
Gilder. Pretty good player.
But I thought, I didn't know that team was so good. But, we lost 5 games, but we could have won all of them. Yeah. And later, Coach Jeffcoat and I became good buddies when I was a sports writer. And he told me that he said, I thought that team where you were a senior on, Bill, had a chance to play for a state championship. And I said, dang, really? But looking back at it, we were.
Rainey and
Scott Rainey was the safety. Charles Bradshaw was the outside linebacker.
That's right. He only let you play one way. Rainey played some quarterback though, didn't he?
He was an emergency quarterback.
Oh, was it? Okay.
David Starling was a really good offensive lineman. Todd Floyd was an offensive lineman. You had Michael Stark as a running back. Kenny Smith was a running back. Ed Black and Kyle split at quarterback.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I was thinking about it. It's Kyle that was the
Carmi
quarterback.
Lowry was an outside linebacker.
Yeah.
Michael Kelly was on that team that later played for Troy. Gary Rump, that was my good friend.
Played at Troy, too. Gary Rump played at Troy, too.
So, look, we really did have some good play. We just had bad, and we had bad injury luck, too. Of course, they lost me before the season, which I'm sure that really hurt.
Okay, for our first call of the day.
Guten Morgen.
Morning.
Good morning, Mike Amos calling from Grayton Beach, Florida. How's the weather, Mama?
It's beautiful down here.
Beautiful.
The water is perfect, and on 88, 89 today, a little warm. But other than that, a lot of people down there.
There are a lot of them going in that lake, that little lake. Then explain how, so these people can visualize where the Gulf is and where the Gulf begins and the lake or the lake attaches to the Gulf.
Well, you have Eastern Lake, which is down around Seagrove, that flows onto the Gulf of Mexico, and then you got Western Lake here in Grayton, which is in between Grayton State Park and Watercolor, the resort Watercolor, which is right next to Seaside.
Yeah.
That lake goes all the way back into Watercolor, so you could actually get on your paddleboard or kayak or canoe and get on that.
And go over to where all those rich folks are.
Take you all the way to the Gulf of Mexico.
About how far that is, that lake that you usually camp out at?
That lake probably, I don't know. As far as acres,
But when you're out there, just walk probably a half a mile to the water or what?
Oh no! When you're out there,
yes.
you're talking about maybe 50 yards to the water.
Oh well, okay, yeah. You got out there early too.
It's only like a little part of like 100 to 200 yards that people actually use.
Well, most of these people are setting up at the lake instead of the ocean. Is that right, or the Gulf?
Well, yeah. They're setting up. Most people with kids do it because it's just a lot easier to not have to worry about waves, creatures, and stuff like that.
Well,
even though I will say we found about 10 blue crabs the other day that were definitely big enough to eat.
Yeah.
Huge blue crabs we were found the other day.
I bet you that was fun. Now somebody said they saw a shark. Where was it?
Shark.
That was in the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, okay.
We went out on the state park side. We can walk down Magnolia off where I live on the back way of Grayton to the state park, which is like a beautiful sandy path through all these huge sand dunes.
And that's not, but about, the park begins about, 100 yards from your house or what?
Yeah, probably less than that, maybe 50 yards from my house. But anyway, it's beautiful, natural beach, and that's where we take the girls when we're trying to avoid the crowd.
Now explain the boats, though, how a boat puts in at where you are.
Well, it's just like charter fishermen down in Panama City Beach at the marinas or Destin Harbor. Down here, they allow about 12 boat captains to go out on the beach. So they have a guy down there that helps back the trailers into the water. So they get into the water about 10 feet, and he pulls the trailer out. The boat just goes in reverse, and then they go out for about 4 hours in the morning, and then they usually go out for about 4 hours in the afternoon.
The water comes back in the afternoon, isn't that right?
Oh, it's the Gulf of Mexico. You got plenty of water. You're not, worried about it.
But they do. But those 12 boats that are fishing boats, it's not a pleasure boat. They're not allowed to do that.
They're about 24 foot boats.
Yeah. Okay. And they.
You've owned a boat as big as the boats that go out before.
Yeah.
24 foot boats.
And it's mostly for single fishermen or what?
Usually
Yeah, I got you.
What do they fish for, you say?
Everything.
Snapper mostly, snapper, grouper. You know, they every once in a while keep catch some amberjack and a lot of king mackerel they catch too.
So when those boats come back in, you can just go talk to the captain and say, I want to buy a couple of red snapper.
Imagine.
No, those fish go to the people that pay to go out on the charter. That's all their fish. They clean those fish right out, you know, on the beach.
That's why, and I'm thinking that's why you see the sharks sometimes, because y'all are feeding, they're cleaning fish.
In the water?
Yeah, well, I don't know where they disperse those fish, but yeah, they you definitely could take your girls up though and your kids and see the haul. Yeah, I've had many a times our girls go and see all the fish getting hung up on the boats.
Uh-huh.
We do that a lot.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I was out there and the first thing I saw was a huge stingray that was probably about 5 foot long, and I was like, literally, the girls and I were about to get in the water. But I was swimming around, and then I had the girls out, and my new thing with the girls is I put my hand in the sand in the water, and I scoop up sand fleas, and I throw them on the shore. And the girls run like crazy trying to catch these little sand fleas and put them in their bucket.
Yeah.
So then I was out there doing that, and I looked out, and like literally about 15 feet out, you know, in between the waves, like they always do, these big old black-tipped sharks, probably about 5 foot, swam by. But you never see the fin out of the water. It's not like in the movies. You never see the fin out of the water. But they're always underwater the whole time.
You answered my question, but most of the time in the lake, you don't see them in the lake, do you?
No, you don't see that anything like that in the lake.
Yeah.
Now there might be some stuff in the lake at night.
Yeah.
I will say we did see a big.
Hey, don't tell me that. I wouldn't want to swim into that at night.
Well, I mean, you got, you know, the water, you know,
Yeah.
high tide.
Yeah, you're right. You're
You
right.
know, there is stuff that can possibly get in there.
Yeah.
I've read a book on the ocean from the Troy Public Library that Maggie had, and learned a lot. You know, it's designed for 10-year-olds, but I spent 2 hours reading about it, and I learned that most of the fish, they stay close to the surface. They want to be near the sunlight, and that's where all the food is. And when you go deeper, it gets colder and darker and darker and darker in the ocean. So, you know, within the surface to about 30 feet deep is where most of the fish are.
Yeah, that's right. But
It's a great time to be down here right now, but I mean the restaurants are just so crowded right now. There's just waits everywhere. But I mean the weather's perfect. It's been the best water and weather I've seen in months down here.
You know, a lot of people are familiar with the Red Bar, which is a very
This is iconic.
probably
place.
considered one of the top places to eat. You know, the whole Gulf side, and they
Great food,
well
great drinks,
yeah. They
great decor.
no what they do, they bus them in. You know, instead of driving in there, they own a little.
They don't allow parking anymore from the Red Bar in Springfield and other places in Gray. They have a shuttle that looks like a forest shuttle at Disney World.
Yeah.
It's up in a parking lot above 38.
And it's about I would say about a mile. I would say it's a mile away, wouldn't you say? Where you would get on the trolley.
But now that's where the Seaside shuttle goes too. So now you park there if you want to go to Seaside because they don't allow parking anymore.
That's the yuppie capital of the world. Yeah.
So now realistically, we could walk up there from my house and get on the shuttle to go to Seaside and not have to worry about parking.
Well, that's not bad.
No, I like it. Yeah.
And some people would, you know, it's an open air type vehicle, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you know, it would probably be fun for kids to ride up there. You know,
They have a big thing attached in the back that everybody can put their floats, and actually one of them just drove by as we speak.
Isn't that
Put
something?
their floats and paddle boards and towels and beach toys, all kinds
Well,
of stuff.
that is unique, and I don't know if it's any place in Florida that does that, where they you know they can just hop on
It makes sense.
a little trolley and
I
ride in.
The traffic issues are so bad. I mean, there's so many people parking on people's property down here and blocking in homeowners from getting out.
Until you bought a place or until you married into a place, or whatever you want to say, we used to talk.
I would say married into a place.
All right. Well, we used to give them a hard time. We would say, "Heck, we can't find a parking place anywhere," and so we just what we call leave it, or leave it in an area. Then we come back, we find that we got a ticket, but they have to, or they can't operate out of their house.
Yeah, I understand.
It's just part of it.
The funny thing is now that everybody knows we live in great, and everybody wants to park at our house. We have a lot of people that park at our front yard or our backyard.
Oh, God.
Go to the Red Bar or go to the beach.
All right, well, I'm going to do that. My wife wants to go to the beach on her 40th birthday, which is September 15th. So we're coming down and eating at the Red Bar.
Here comes rice. Here comes rice.
Yeah, that will not be an issue. We got a big front yard and a big backyard.
All right.
Big news on the LIV golf tour that's about to start. Dustin Johnson has jumped ship, and he's going to go play in this first event. So that's a guy that's still playing great on the PGA Tour. Has won 24 times, 2 majors.
I didn't realize he'd won that many times. That's a bunch.
Yeah, Dustin Johnson is now going to play in London here in a few weeks. Other players, Sergio Garcia, Kevin Na, Louis Oosthuizen, who's number 15 in the world, Ian Poulter, Charles Schwartzel, Lee Westwood are all going to play.
Oh, boy.
So far, Mickelson's name's not on the list, even though he asked to play in it. Everybody thinks he's still going to play in it, but big news when a guy like Dustin Johnson basically tells the PGA Tour he doesn't care if they have him back or not.
Yeah. Well, it's all about money. How many times do we say all about money? and their purse, you said the guaranteed purse is not bad, didn't you?
Well, I mean, if you come in last place, there's no cut. So if you come in last place, you make $150,000.
Guaranteed to
pretty
make
pretty good
$150,000.
weekend. Yeah, weekend.
For 3 days of golf, and it's not 4 rounds either.
Yeah, and
I mean, it's just one of those type things. These guys just see that money out there, and they're just like, I can play less events and make more money.
That's right. That is right. I've got one.
Well, you keep bringing up an interesting point, though, is no TV network has agreed to televise these events. They'll televise the USFL football games in front of 82 people, but they won't televise the golf tournament with some of the biggest golfers in the world.
I think that's where this new bunch gonna run into trouble with the TV package. If the TV people don't come around, it's gonna be hard for the golfers to come in. The way I think, but they
a guy like Dustin Johnson, though. I mean, he's gonna have to call the PGA, bluff basically to see if the PGA will allow him to play both, because there's a lot of people on the PGA Tour that would want him to play our PGA tournaments that would want him to play it.
Oh yeah.
I would think that
You want a guy that's like 38 years old.
I'll tell you the big thing. If Tiger goes to that group, that'll change everybody's mind.
Tiger's adamant he's going to stay on the PGA Tour.
we need to talk to Will, our lawyer, about can the PGA keep somebody from playing in the PGA? I guess if they have certain bylaws that, people play in all types of tournaments that aren't PGA tournaments, and they keep playing in the PGA. They're saying that, I don't know. I mean, it seems like Dustin Johnson can say, well, listen, I'm just going to play in 8 tournaments with these guys, and I'm going to play in 30 with y'all. What's the big deal?
Our show is brought to you each and every morning by Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram trucks on the bypass. Jason Gregory and all the great people have a huge selection of new and used cars and trucks. And remember, nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody. We'll see you in just a moment.
Hey, Jim Jackson, Bill Jackson Ford here in Troy, Alabama, where not only can you get the best price on a new Ford, but we can also get you exactly what you're looking for. We all know inventories are low right now, but don't settle for something you don't love. Come by Bill Jackson Ford in Troy, Alabama, and let us walk you through the retail order process and get you exactly what you're looking for. So come see us at Bill Jackson Ford in Troy, Alabama, where you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
The all-new Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center brings all of the latest and advanced 3D mammography and breast ultrasound services to the Troy area in our all-new outpatient facility. Dr. Lauren Thorington, along with our team of certified breast specialists, read your mammograms, which are performed by our registered radiologic technologists, bringing the best in women's health care to the Troy area. Troy Regional Women's Diagnostic Center.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio, just off the square in Troy.
Hey, Jim Jackson with Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC right here in Troy, Alabama, and we've got some exciting news for you. After a 2-year suspension, GM has now reintroduced the sold order process on the redesigned GMC Sierra 1500 and Chevrolet Silverado 1500. So come in and order yours today and not have to wait 6 months to get exactly what you want. So come see us at Bill Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Troy, where you too can experience the Jackson satisfaction.
Back to our show, brought to you by our good friends at Horn Beverage, and of course, you know, they do a lot of things to support local athletics, and we appreciate them very much. And also Piggly Wiggly, one of my favorite places to shop, and I love their produce department, and I bought some of those wonderful oranges that they come special from California. They're really, really good. And of course,
apparently tomatoes are real good right now.
They are, and of course, you know,
We love Piggly Wiggly, boy.
and you know, and I would say that the tomatoes that you eat at Piggly Wiggly come from near distance.
Yeah.
Of course, we're talking about two things that happened yesterday. Hugh Fountain is now the new head football coach at Pike Liberal Arts. I didn't, you know, I can understand, you know, Pike going ahead and hiring a proven head coach, you know, because it's going to get tough awfully soon in the league that they're going to be playing in. But of course, there's no question in my mind either, too, also that this young Hickson boy can coach, but he can coach everything if he wanted to.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. You know, once upon a time, it was common for the football coach to coach one other sport and not two other sports.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think Ralph Stewart Jordan coached the basketball team at Auburn.
Yeah, when he first got there, you're right, he did.
And that was very, you look back and you think of all the time that these coaches put into working with these programs. It is a
well, you know,
lot
high school,
of hours.
yeah, high school though, especially, you know, most they pretty much coached it all. They coached football, basketball, and
I think, you know,
baseball.
I think you can do it. I mean, you just learn the fundamentals of the sport.
And in most cases, the head coach wanted to coach those. You know, they wanted to. You know, they were ball coaches. You know, like Ben Beard said, they were ball coaches. And want to say hello to Nick this morning. Nick, I hope you're doing well, buddy. I love you. What?
Great more than anything, just for the community of Troy to have Coach Fountain back.
Yeah.
He's a great person.
Well, let's not lose sight of the big picture. You're supposed to mold young men and women and impart life lessons that will stay with you and enhance your life, and that's what Coach Fountain's going to do.
Coach Hugh Fountain has witnessed to so many people over the years. But have you ever heard of the road to Damascus?
Yeah. Well, last time we talked to him, you talked about that.
And of course,
What'd you say? It's a walk to Emmaus?
well, you're exactly right. Walk to Emmaus. Thank you, Mike. But walk to Emmaus is one of the great spiritual events of anyone's life, and he's been involved with that for years, Mike, where he would take somebody on the walk to help me out.
Walk to him.
Emmaus, walk to Emmaus, and it's a Methodist deal, and Coach Fountain was very active with the First Methodist or with the Methodist Church.
You know, I got to know Coach Fountain pretty good when he was coaching at Charles Simpson. I was working at one of my newspaper jobs, and I would go over there often and just visit with him and his staff. And remember, he had an assistant coach, Tyrone Black. I
Oh yeah, he loved that. Should have been a book.
They were real tight. And,
Yeah.
But I would see you would see them at practice, and before practice, and after they talked to the media. But then you'd see stuff like what they do. They would both
Take
Coach
kids
Fountain,
home.
they would take them. They take them to practice in the summer.
Yeah.
And then they take them home after practice.
And some of them hadn't eaten since lunch.
And this is not common to just Coach Fountain. Every high school coach in America pretty much does that. And then some of them have to take them a long way if you live in a rural school.
Goshen. I've heard coaches talk about them. They've close to 30 miles. They said they would, are right to the end of the county.
Well, you talk about the influence you can have on a
Caroline,
life when you're with these kids 2.5 hours at practice, the hour before practice, hour after, taking them off-season workouts. There's no teacher that can spend that much time with us.
Yeah.
So they become like father figures. They're people that you will always. I tell Coach Jeff Coach stories all the time, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, there's no other comparison I can think of to a football coach. I mean, maybe a pastor or youth pastor.
Yeah, that's right. He makes a lot of decisions in that young man's way. Let's just say this: they have an impact on more or less all the kids they play.
Charles Simpson, Coach Fountain would have had varsity and JV, probably 60 kids that he saw.
Yeah.
And that being 1 year, then you'd add more the next year.
Some coaches are more involved than others. In a way, Coach Jeff Coach, he was laid back. He would definitely help a kid, but he didn't go. He was a little different about it. He made them help themselves. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, what a man he was, and what a man Hugh Fountain was, and it still is. And he's going to go now to Pike Liberal Arts, and they're going to have a solid foundation as far as the coach that's been there and done that. Would you say that would characterize?
He's going to try to help these kids, and he'll give you a second try and probably a third try, but probably after that you watch out.
What's going on in SEC Media Day in Destin, right down the road from me down here, right? Has anything been said? I know Saban spoke yesterday about the whole Jimbo Fisher thing.
Oh, I missed that. So I'll tell us what he said. Have you read the key excerpts?
Yeah, I just read a little bit of it yesterday. It's all over. SEC Network's doing around-the-clock coverage of SEC Media.
Shouldn't that be just incredibly awkward with Coach Saban and Coach Fisher in the same room? I mean, it seems like they want to. Coach Fisher wants to fight him.
I would imagine the SEC commissioner has probably got them not saying a whole lot.
That's somebody.
Not allowed to say a whole lot.
Yeah, you're right. But they better be careful. One of them's somebody's gonna get fined like you wouldn't believe it.
I mean, the thing is, though, Kirby Smart, coach for Saban, they were interviewing him yesterday, and he didn't want to get involved in it. Billy Napier, coach for Saban twice, he didn't want to get involved in it. So I guess everybody's not wanting to throw Saban under the bus, kind of like what Jimbo Fisher did.
Yeah, and
I mean, everybody knows good and well that Saban
tough on his
A
assistants.
friend of mine, let me tell you a little story. A friend of mine was going to interview for a job at Alabama, and while he was talking to Coach Stallings, and Coach Stallings, they talked back to back, and this friend of mine kept telling him how he loved to play golf and whatever. And he went. So as the day went on, he got back down to the coaches' meeting that afternoon, and he asked him. He said, "Who in this room loves to play golf?" And nobody raised their hand. He said, "Well, I turned the coach down today because he loved to play golf." Yeah, I don't want a coach that loves to play golf, and that was the way he looks at it.
Coach
Hey,
Stallings is a great
you can be a great golfer, but hey, you're not going to be a great golfer around me.
You talk to anybody that's been around Coach Stallings. I mean, he walks the walk.
Yes, sir.
I mean, you think all the people he would go see after practice, kids in hospitals and people he would try to help.
Yeah.
He really, he was an inspiring role model.
Back to
He started the Rise Center at the University of Alabama, for his son Johnny, which is still there to this day. It is amazing. Saban, I think him and his foundation have built 24, 25 homes in Tuscaloosa for families.
yeah,
They've done more than that. I mean, there's no coach that I'm aware of that's raised more money for charity than Nick Saban and his wife Terry.
Back to Coach Fountain and his tenure at Charles Cincinnati School, I think he had 4 or 5 kids that were killed they died in accidents, car wrecks, and so forth. He went through a lot, and I'll say one thing, and I'm not going to get involved in that conversation because it's private. But let's just say one of his players was killed in an accident, and Coach, of course, went to the house and wanted to do anything he could to make things easier for the parents of the young man. And he noticed one thing. He said, that house looks rough. So that afternoon, and before the sun went down, that house was completely painted by he and Black, Coach Black. Both of them painted that young man's house just to make things maybe a little easier.
Yeah, that's the type of person he is. But we've seen these coaches are fine people, like Chan Gailey.
Oh, yeah.
Became the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys and Georgia Tech, Troy University. Bobby talked to him when he was at the Trojan Legend event a couple weeks ago, and he said, "Yeah, my grandmother used to live across the street from you," and he remembered Mrs. Rice. He said, "Oh yeah, I used to. I cut her grass for her several times."
Well,
head coach of Troy University.
Well, I'll tell you something even more impressive.
Coach Fountain used to cut Coach Sadler's grass all the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Well, I'll tell you another.
Coach Sadler would come on the show and tell us all the time. He cut his grass.
Well, Dwayne Webb cuts my grass all the time. My neighbor.
Isn't that great to have a neighbor to do something like that?
Mm-hmm. He's a fine man, fine family.
Yeah. But these kids, these coaches and these young men, they create a bond, and even like you're talking about saying fine things about coaches that coached you years and years ago, but it sticks with you, don't you think? I mean, they leave an impression.
I've made the point on this show that the football coach at your high school is the most important person in town.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the town's going to go like the school system, and sports is the most important thing, politically incorrect or not, at the school system.
Yeah.
If you got a great athletic program and the lead, most high-profile program is the football program, everything else falls together.
Our show is brought to you by Southeast Gas, and of course located with the home headquarters in Andalusia, Alabama. And of course there are numerous stores and gas stores in our area, and of course they do a great service to our community. Of course, we want to mention also our good friends at Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks on the bypass right here in Troy, and of course they've got a new shipment of cars comes in almost every day, and of course they're new and some of them are used and in very, very good condition. So drop by and see the folks at Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep. We'll be back.
What's the latest buzz? It's Ford's tough lineup of trucks. Get great offers on the trucks people are talking about. Like Ford F-150, a true workhorse with the capability to haul or tow more than ever. And the powerful Ford Ranger, where hustle meets muscle. Don't wait. Find out what all the buzz is about at your local Ford dealer. Get the latest offers plus $1,000 retail custom order bonus cash when you build and order your 2022 Ford F-150 today.
Mayday, Mayday. I'm at another dealership and they're trying to make me panic into paying higher prices. I need you, More Force.
At Mitchell Nissan, the More Force always avenges the average deal and brings honest savings to the Wiregrass. Plus, every new vehicle comes with the Customer Advantage Package at no extra charge. So there's no need to panic when you're ready for your next Nissan.
Thank you, More Force. I knew I could count on you.
MitchellNissan.com. More, it's what we do.
You guys are here early.
The text said you were bringing McDonald's.
Should we get right into it?
Nick, there's hot food present.
Mix and match chicken McGriddles or a savory sausage biscuit. Choose any two for $3. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy. All at cost plus 10%.
Definitely. All right, we're back on there.
Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen, brought to you by Wells Fargo Advisors, and we appreciate them. And of course, also the Withington Group. Remember, you're in good hands with Allstate. See Perry Green at the Withington Group today.
I was reading an article. A lot of people are on vacation. They're touring Yellowstone. Amazing national park. And I was out in Yellowstone when my sister lived in Jackson Hole for a summer, and went out there for a couple weeks and went to Old Faithful and saw the buffalo. And this girl decides to get out of your car so you can drive your vehicle around the state park or the national park, and you can get out, but you're not supposed to get close to the animals. When you're taking pictures. So this girl got 10 feet away from a huge bison, and the bison attacked her. Border and almost killed her.
A bison, yeah.
A bison's a huge buffalo.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know it. Yeah.
So it's just amazing that like this happens on a regular basis out in Yellowstone Park. People get killed. Sometimes from these huge buffalo because they're trying to get so close to take a picture, and then some people are out of their minds and try to pet them.
Now, were you you were still a long ways away from the Grand Canyon, weren't you? How far were you away?
We're in Yellowstone, which is
I know, yeah.
In Wyoming.
Yeah.
You've seen the Grand Canyon. You said you looked at it for about 10 minutes. You said, all right, that's enough.
That's right. I looked at it for about 15 minutes, and I said, well, I've seen this. I didn't. The only thing I could have thought that would have been exciting would be, they've got trips that you can take down to the base of the Grand Canyon, and I would think that'd be quite a bit of experience. But
well, how far was it down to the base? About a mile or what?
It's a long ways. I don't know exactly, but
I don't think I would enjoy seeing that either. Every time I fly to Vegas, they always tell you on the plane that you're flying over the Grand Canyon. And it doesn't look like anything I really want to see. I like mountains and Snow Peak Mountains, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, like Montana, Jackson Hole, Georgia.
Yeah,
we're about to go to Lake Tahoe. Lake Tahoe is one of the biggest lakes in the country, and then it's surrounded by Sierra Nevada mountains.
It is a real deep lake. It's
Really?
very deep, you know.
Yeah, it's one of the deepest lakes in the world.
Well, the Great Lakes are like little oceans, from what I gather. I've never seen them, but they got big old huge tankers on them.
Yeah.
The Edmund Fitzgerald sunk in one of those things in a terrible storm.
Oh yeah. The depth of the
Great Lake Tahoe.
Yeah, the depth of Lake. Well, it jumped out, but I'll get it in a moment.
Well, that's where Michael Corleone moved to the family.
Michael Corleone.
She got to come on.
He
Go
moved.
ahead, Mikey.
Good morning. How you doing? Is this Mary Prater or
That's Millie.
Millie? Millie, good morning. My granddaughter.
Old baby.
You know, Las Vegas is a fascinating story. I'd like to read a book about it, and I'm sure people have written many. But you got this place that's in the middle of a desert with no water, and then some guy goes out there and makes it this little oasis, all based on gambling.
Yep. And who was that guy? They made a picture out of him.
Bugsy Siegel.
Yeah, I like that movie, Bugsy Siegel. I hated it when they killed him. I hated it.
That was his thanks he got for found in Las Vegas. He got killed, huh?
Yeah, and he made generations rich and some generations poor.
You know what? Yeah. Good point. He did both. Probably made a lot more poor than few that made rich.
I was looking at the weather this morning out in Tahoe, and it's 30 degrees in Tahoe this morning. And then we're going to Napa first. Napa's 50 degrees in the morning, but later today it'll be 95.
Yeah.
Isn't that the craziest weather ever?
I've been in those wineries out there, and again, once you've seen one, you've seen them all. But I got involved in some of those wine tastings, and it's unique. It is quite unique. You know, we don't say enough about this new. Would you call it a distillery? What would you call it?
Yeah, we don't.
That's a big deal to have a distillery.
I haven't even seen it. I need to ride by and look at it.
And it's under construction right
Where
now.
do I go out? Orion Road?
Orion Street. It'll take you right by it. And then
Connector Ridge was
bourbon.
That's right. And that's supposed to be a big thing. In fact,
It was originally Connector Ridge, but now it's Pod May.
Yeah, okay. But it's going to be fun to watch, and it's supposed to bring a lot of tourists to our area. And to my knowledge,
I mean, they're supposed to have like a little restaurant, a tasting.
yeah.
I think they're going to even have like a little place where they can have entertainment out there.
And the grounds, the grounds are real pretty. I could see tour buses pulling in there and stuff like that.
If you lived on Heritage Ridge out there, you could hear the concert.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, I'm disturbed though about these kids having to start practice so early. Before, ladies and gentlemen, before you could not start football practice until it was August the 3rd or August the 1st or something like that, that you could start practicing football with your coach. All right. Now they allow them to go practice with their coach in a helmet and shorts. Today, they can actually go out today with
and
a
is
coach.
it mandatory that you go?
No, it's not mandatory at all. You can do what you want to do, and but
I would imagine it's pretty mandatory. I can't imagine too many coaches not wanting their players out there.
I'll tell you something though. I've told this story many times before. The great Luverne coach, Mike, Coach Glenn Daniel. He told me, Mike, he said, with these kids, most of them have jobs and work and so forth. He says, we at Luverne will practice them at say 5:30, 6 o'clock, practice a couple of hours, and that's it. And he can go home and he wake up and go to his job or sleep in or whatever. But Coach Daniel told me several times that there's no need to coach these kids, or these kids go through a hard, rigorous practice, and twice a day. He said it's no need, no need for that.
I think they've had to do away with the 2 a days.
Well, I hope so.
I think this is kind of what coaches look at this now. Like, you don't do the 2 a day practice anymore. You kind of build up.
Yeah.
Starting in June, July.
Well, and weights are such a.
You're talking about 2.5 months before you even play a game. You know how tough that is for young kids to focus on.
Mike, Jacksonville State kicks off against who?
We talked about that yesterday. Stephen F. Austin.
Played Stephen F. Austin. Jackson.
Yeah, that's a game you could possibly lose, to be honest.
Where is Stephen F. Austin? Is it in Austin, Texas?
And Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Oh, okay.
All right, there.
Not Louisiana, Texas.
Well, Texas, they're right there next to each other.
Isn't Stephen F. Austin who the city of Austin was named for? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's called there's one called Natchitoches, and the other one is called Natchitoches. Yeah. But they're beautiful towns now. I remember playing Stephen F. Austin before. Troy used to play them. And it's a beautiful city.
Stephen F. Austin's real good at basketball, too, usually.
Yeah. And I would think it would become Division One.
They were one of the elite 1AA teams when Troy was in that conference, right?
That's right.
And then McNeese State, Stephen F. Austin and McNeese State.
Then you had Sam Houston State was right there, and
that was the Southland.
Yeah.
That was a good conference.
Yeah, especially with a team called what was the tough team in that league for all those years?
McNeese State.
McNeese State, that was it. McNeese State. I'll tell you this: Troy had one of its biggest wins ever against McNeese in the playoffs, and that night, it was a packed stadium, and Troy had a wide receiver that transferred from Auburn, Mike, and he was just a fabulous receiver. He got hurt.
Orlando Parker.
Boy, you're brilliant. You are brilliant.
I remember that.
Orlando Parker, Jeff Davis High School. He went to Jeff Davis, and
he was super fast.
And was a star player at Auburn, and he transferred to Troy, but he got hurt midway through the second half, y'all. He got hurt, and Troy was losing, and it looked pretty dim until he came home from the hospital. And they said he was actually admitted, and they talked him into letting him go play. And he comes back. I think he scored 2 touchdowns to win the game. Orlando Parker, what a great player!
That's probably like the effect that Jameson Williams could have had against Georgia.
You know, if you could name some of these
groups. Looks like Stephen F. Austin has 12,000 students. So
bigger than Troy, yeah.
Troy is one of the smallest on-campus enrollments of any Division I program.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, if you count the whole system, Troy has about 17,000 students, but on campus probably about 7,000.
Mike, this weekend.
Looks like it's the East Texas college town of Nacogdoches. The vast majority of the Stephen F. Austin students come from the greater Houston, Dallas, Fort Worth metroplex.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, they're in that area, where that's heavily populated. You're right.
Houston is one of the. I think I've read that it's the 4th largest metro area.
Let's see how big Houston is. I probably couldn't pick it up.
Well, Sam Houston State, who played Troy for years in that conference, they're finally making the move to Division I, where Jackson will stay.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I have missed that.
Yeah, they've moved up. Population of Houston, Texas.
In 2020, the population of Houston was 2,304,580.
2.223 million, but now that's inside the city limits.
That's in the city limits. That's right. So
the temperature. Oh boy.
I was reading an article a couple of days ago, and Birmingham is now the 3rd largest city in the state of Alabama. There's less than 200,000 people in the city limits of Birmingham.
But in the
metro area,
in the metro area, it's close to 1 million people. Did you know that, Mike?
But I'm just saying, Huntsville
Yeah.
The biggest, Mobile second, and Birmingham's third.
Yeah, that's right.
So that
But-
means that Montgomery is now fourth.
Yeah.
You know, they did
The timber-
I thought so.
the license plates on the Alabama tags were, I might be wrong, are based on population. That's why Jefferson County was 1, Mobile is 2.
Population for Dallas,
and Montgomery's
Texas.
3, but they got to completely redo that now, or it should. Guess they won't because of tradition.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, in San Antonio, see, it's grown, and now the fast growing area is Austin, Texas. Austin had well over 1 million people living in Austin now.
I made a.
Yeah, 1.8 million in Austin.
Yeah.
I was pointing out to my wife was talking about how she liked towns where you could just walk around, like
Yeah.
Seaside or Vale and all the cities
Yeah.
in Europe. And so then I expounded. I said, you know what really changed everything was the automobile, cheap gas, allowed for what? Suburbs. You didn't have to live in the city anymore.
Yeah,
you
that's
could
right,
live,
yeah.
and so they kept the suburbs and the exurbs kept moving farther and farther from the main city. But now I think we're coming back to people wanting to live in the city, or some people, so they can walk to things. So
Well,
you know,
well, I'm gonna tell you this, Mike.
That's what I do. That's what we do in Grayton. I mean, we have a babysitter, and we literally just walk out the door, and there's 6 or 7 different restaurants we can go to.
Mike, you know, taking a look at Seaside, the best thing that ever happened to Seaside was to provide a shuttle for all the people that go in there. That was a good move for
Well,
Seaside.
they blocked off everything where you can't, you know, now the kids can run around the amphitheater and all the shops.
Can you even drive through Seaside if you wanted to?
Yeah, you can drive down 38.
Yeah.
You got to go real slow.
Yeah. And but it's a beautiful place and a nice place to visit. And I've
You
got
know, another thing about my suburb dissertation. Have you noticed in Europe that the cars are much smaller? You've been to Europe many times, but because gasoline prices are much higher and they want to be fuel efficient, I guess. But you got these little small cars. In America, you got big SUVs and trucks.
You know, I'll tell you something too that'll tickle you, ladies and gentlemen. Johnny Williams and I have made several trips together, and he's sort of like my tour guide. He's really good too. On that trip, now the last trip we made, he had his pocket picked twice, and I had mine picked once.
Really?
I mean, right out in the open. I mean, you know, in my situation was the guy was not the subway, but the trolley or whatever they call it was.
What city
was coming to the stop? It was in Europe, but it said it was coming to a stop, and the guy was about halfway out of the vehicle, and he dropped my wallet. He'd already had me picked, but thank goodness he fumbled, and I was able to get my wallet and save me on my trip. But Johnny Williams
That's why you got to wear your wallet
up front.
in your front pocket. Yeah.
I learned my lesson quick on that. And Johnny, you know, he was looking at a menu to go into a restaurant, and the girl just walked right up next to him and reached it. And Johnny, Johnny's a quick guy anyway, he grabbed her and had her by the hand and said, "What are you doing, girl?" She said, "I was just looking at." You said she was looking at the menu. She was picking his pocket. That happened twice. One of them in a subway, and another one at a restaurant.
There's these gypsy bands that do that. Yeah, they've got it down to a science. I heard a interesting anecdote about Coach Bryant. You know, in the off season, he would like to let his hair down, and he would go to Vegas several times. And this was when he was giving interviews to the guy that wrote Underwood, that wrote the book The Bear.
Yeah.
And they said he was at the blackjack table, and somebody tried to pick Coach Bryant's pocket. Big mistake, they said.
Well,
He was, because Brian was probably 60 years old and looked like he was about 70.
Yeah.
And they said he took care of that guy in a hurry.
Oh, God. You know, people could just write.
You're right about Austin. The metro area of Austin, Texas now is 2.3 million people.
You know, it's your high-tech place in Texas. You know, it's where all the high-tech offices are.
Yeah, they are. But and I've heard that Austin,
Where all the hippies live.
yeah, Austin, Texas is far more liberal than the rest of Texas too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a big wedding we're going to in October there, staying in Austin for 3 nights. I've never been. I actually look forward to it. I heard the restaurants and music are incredible.
You know, I talking about music and so forth. I went to a wedding out there. One of my cousins got married, and Carol and I went out there and took my mother and so forth. And we didn't even know how to act. These Texans, they do that Texas two-step, and I didn't know anything about it. I couldn't pick it up or anything, so I couldn't dance to the. They danced all night long, and I usually love to dance, but I couldn't dance to that.
You know, I love the movie Urban Cowboy with Deborah Winger and John Travolta. Y'all remember the scene where John Travolta's character has moved to Houston, I guess, and they're at Gillies. Deborah Winger's sitting next to him, and she asked him, "You know how to two-step?" And he said, "Yeah." But he doesn't do anything for there's a long pause, and then finally Deborah Winger says, "Want to prove it?" And so but John Travolta could two-step.
Hey, let me tell you this. John Travolta can dance. Believe you me, he can dance.
That was neat.
Yeah,
I
I believe that's
two-step.
how he got to be famous more, you know, at the get-go, was he could dance so good.
Famous in Greece.
Yeah.
Well, but the movie that made him, y'all remember, was Saturday Night Fever, the disco movie.
Yeah,
He was on Welcome Back, Kotter.
Yeah.
And then he became the star of that show, which is a huge hit show. But then they cast him to do Saturday Night Fever in the height of the disco era, and he just wowed everybody with his disco dancing. But then he went to Greece and did it, and he did it in Urban Cowboy.
Yeah. You know, he's been very successful. Would you put him in the same situation as Tom Hanks? Would you? Who would you say would be more?
No, Hanks has been consistently good. Travolta's had all these peaks and valleys of his career. Travolta, he was a huge star with Saturday Night Fever, Urban Cowboy, and Grease. I mean, they were all massive hits. But then he went and made all these sorry movies and fell off. And then what saved his career was Quentin Tarantino cast him in Pulp Fiction, which restored his career.
And of course, he's been in a lot of them, and so has Tom Hanks. You know, good actors just, you know, they come to the front without even having a problem.
He's a Scientologist, so he's kind of he's a weird hombre, but he's a very talented actor. You can't deny that.
Who are some more of those
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
John Travolta are the two most.
But you know, we hadn't heard much from Tom Cruise lately, have we?
Now everybody in the world is hearing about Tom Cruise. The Top Gun is out again. Top Gun 2. So everybody's out watching that. I've heard 3 or 4 people tell me it's pretty good.
You know, did you know that? This
you watch Top Gun. It's coming out on the beach. It's out now.
Let me tell you this. Somebody said that these people from China took it for by mistake. They thought it was a real deal. They were actually a Chinese group, and they went to that movie and they thought it was highlights of what was going on.
What are you thinking? Like they're like trying to spread it like propaganda or something?
No, it was like was this real? Was this real?
I still can't believe it.
Or did this just happen?
I still can't believe in Troy, Alabama, there's no movie theater for the first time in like 70 years.
100 years, as I dated. I think that the Cinco drugs I might be wrong, but I think in my Troy history, it was one time a movie theater. Before it was the Teenage Canteen and Simcoe Drugs, it was the Princess Theater, maybe. That's when you had live bands in Herman Mall. They had silent movies, and so you didn't even have music.
Yeah, you know, his band.
But that would have been about 1921. Troy had a movie theater in that building.
That's right.
So that tells you that it's been 101 years ago there was a movie theater in Troy. But you're right. As of, 2 years ago, no movie theater in Troy, Alabama.
All right.
I'll tell you what, if you are a guy that wanted to make a lot of money, if you would put a movie theater somewhere walking distance
Of the
from
campus.
college, it would be the biggest gold mine of all time.
And then have the have some extra things to it. You have a movie theater, and then you could have a bowling alley. But now they're building this in Troy as we speak. Now, did you know that?
Tell me.
They're building
you've referenced it
a
before.
bowling alley, and it's a bowling alley, and it's
Entertainment
an
center,
entertainment center, and it's got machines, video machines, all
Kind of
kinds
like
of
the
stuff.
Johnny Williams Brothers has in Tuscaloosa.
It's very similar, and I'm thinking that's what's going on right now.
Where's that going to be?
It's back there behind Publix, yeah.
That's the new growth.
In that area, I could be wrong, but that's where it looks like. It's going to be that. I knew it was coming, and it's going to be something that I think it's going to be more of a college age crowd. That type.
I got a theory on movie theaters. I think they're dinosaurs. They're obsolete because of inflation. It costs so much to make movies. The ticket prices are going to be high, and then the movie theaters actually make their money on the popcorn and Coke, which we know are super high. Well, you price families out of going to the movie. The middle class people, they'll take their kids to see a Disney movie, but they're not going to go on date night with the wife or the girlfriend.
Yeah.
We went to Sing 2 down here, and then went to another movie because the girls had never been in a movie theater before. And they got the biggest kick out of it. But it was like only $30 to get a matinee for all four of us. I didn't think that was horrible.
Well, that's
the key to that is you go to Dollar General or go to Publix and get your candy before you go in there. You just don't buy anything there. You
Yeah.
get all your snacks with you.
Yeah, I was looking for something in what I call my cupboard, if you want to call it that. And I found some of my favorite candies, and I was trying to hide from Carol.
Every time I used to go to the Pike 3, the first thing I would buy was Red Hot.
All right, yeah, I love Red Hot, but these were Milk Duds. I always liked
that
Milk
was a
Duds.
good movie theater snack, Milk Duds. Yep.
Yeah. And I love popcorn, and popcorn.
I love going to the movie. I hope we get it's even as expensive as it is. It's something about the air conditioning and the big screen.
Well, and another thing. Where do you take a date?
Do you gotta go to Montgomery or
do you take her?
Enterprise?
You got two choices.
I don't think people go on dates
You got
anymore.
two choices. You could go to the picture show or go parking.
Well, it used to be a dinner and the movie.
Yeah.
That's all my dates.
We used to go to the Pike 3. That's all we do when we were young. We go to the bowling alley at the Adams Center. That was our number one spot, and then we'd go to the Pike 3.
People don't even realize, Mike, that Troy University had a bowling alley, a nice bowling alley. It had 12 lanes.
One of the nicest ones in the state, probably at the time. It was
And,
spanking new, state of the art.
And I think upkeep and the cost of maintenance and all that was what sort of did.
But we talk a lot about Bobby Marlowe on this show, but he owned a bowling alley in Troy for a while then.
Bobby Marlowe Bowl, and I bowled there many times. And my good friend Jack Jackson was one of the best bowlers around. He was in high school, and he'd stay up to 2 or 3 o'clock bowling against these guys, for a wager or two. And he'd fall asleep at his desk because he stayed up all night long. But
every birthday party was at the Hilton roller ring.
That's right.
Go there on nonstop.
And let me tell you, that's still a popular sport. The roller rinks, and Panama City's got one out there, Mike, that is really unique. It really is.
They call it. They don't call it roller skating anymore. It's online.
I'd pay money to see my girls on skates. I would love that.
I'll tell you what. You need a few other deals. But if you had a nice area for concessions, you had
people will pay to entertain their kids.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what
Birthday parties.
These wall climbing places and trampoline places are doing really good in Montgomery and Dothan.
Yeah.
So, you have a lot of divided families that are divorced, and so like the dad will have the kids for one weekend and they want to do something for the kids, right?
yeah, you're right.
Vice versa. So that's another one of my theories is like the movies. People, I'm not going to pay to go see a movie as much as I used to because they're expensive, but I'll pay to take my kids to the latest Walt Disney movie.
I wish we had somebody from the city that knows more about this, but
growing up, you went to Showbiz for birthday parties in Dothan, then you went to Chunky Cheese in Montgomery, and then we're kids. We spent a lot of time down at Waterworld in Dothan. Like water park.
Yeah,
that's still open, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that place still open? I think it is.
Yeah. Now,
first place in Panama City Beach still open. Shipwreck Island.
Back to the picture show. You might want to include a bowling alley, and I think that's what this is. And then also have games and so forth. And
you ought to have a bar though in a college town. Most of the bowling alleys out in Birmingham all had their individual bars you could go into as well. That kids couldn't go in there, but adults could go.
And we don't know exactly.
You can buy beer at a lot of movie theaters.
Rice, I point you to check it out and see what's going to happen.
Okay, all right. I'll ask.
I wonder if that phone number for information. What is it? 113.
Call that number.
What's that number?
The City of Troy information number.
Yeah. What is it?
I can't remember.
They're not going to know that.
I don't know. They know a lot. They know a lot of things.
They might know.
They know a lot of things.
We call them. Aren't y'all the information people? We want some information.
Yeah, somebody call in and tell us what's going on, what they're building.
Is this a movie theater, a bowling alley, video games? What's coming?
It's where Max Federal Credit Union.
When I was in high school, the big thing was game rooms, and we had several of them in Troy, about 3 or 4 of them, and each one would be popular for a while, but the teenagers would just drive and use the game room some, but then just really hang out in the parking lot or.
Well, I think anything for kids and anything that will occupy them.
Our next door neighbor, the Hazes, had a arcade.
Yeah, but then of course if you
is that the one that was on George Wallace?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. That was popular.
Well, and you would have 4 or 5 different birthday parties going on at the same time, and just a skating rink was an excellent place for birthday parties and so forth. But some folks could skate and some couldn't.
I was one of the ones that couldn't. I hated them. I hated those skating parties. The bowling parties were okay, but the skating party, it was so embarrassing.
Hey, Mr. Amos, I can't roller skate.
There would be a few people running around out there in their socks.
Yeah.
I just stood up there.
You couldn't go out there with your shoes on.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Swimming parties.
I was looking at the football schedule. August 27th, Saturday, is the start of football season. So, I mean, it's June 1st today. So, I mean, football is literally less than 3 months away. But the first week of football on that Saturday, August 27th, is horrible games. Nevada at New Mexico State, Austin Peay at Western Kentucky, Northwestern at Nebraska might be the best game of the day. UConn at Utah State, Wyoming at Illinois, Duquesne at Florida State, Charlotte at Florida Atlantic, Florida A&M at North Carolina, North Texas at UTEP. Vanderbilt travels all the way to Hawaii and plays Hawaii at 9:30
Oh boy, but that's a good trip for their fans.
Well, I'll watch that.
Well,
Though.
boy,
If I'm still, there's no,
yeah.
no chance in heck I'll be up at 9:30 at night.
Yeah, but
Well, actually, Northwestern Nebraska play in Dublin,
Ireland.
okay.
Ireland. Yeah, they're playing Ireland. So.
Yeah.
And then there's games on Thursday, September 1st, and then you actually got some decent games. There's a lot of teams playing. You got Ball State at Tennessee, West Virginia at Pittsburgh. Big, huge year for Neil Brown. He's got to win this year. South Carolina State at UCF. Central Michigan at Oklahoma State. Penn State at Purdue. That'll be a good game. Alabama A&M at UAB. Louisiana Tech at Missouri. So you got some pretty decent games on that Thursday night.
Yeah. We're going to start looking back at with Coach Summerall coming in here, and I don't think it's a dime's bit of difference in Summerall and the coach at West Virginia. I don't think it's a dime's bit of difference. I think Summerall is going to prove it.
You gotta win 10 games 3 straight years. That's pretty
Yeah,
tough.
that was that Troy. Yeah.
10, 11, and 10. That's pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
Well, Coach Brown was a offensive guru that came out of the what's his name school?
Tony Franklin.
Tony Franklin.
The Tony Franklin coaching tree. Well, Coach Summerall is a hard-nosed defensive guy, right?
Yeah,
That's his.
And you hit something there. You really hit something there. Compare our quarterback coach
Tony Franklin.
Tony Franklin to any other offensive coach.
He was revolutionary. You could write a book about. He's written books, but he was one of the most influential people. Then the other one was Hal Mummy and.
Yeah. Well, he came.
They all just
came out of the same basket.
They all changed
right.
football.
That's right.
A lot of people don't realize how many close games Troy won that were not high-scoring games, and Dick Tony was the key.
That's
Bill
right.
Brown winning a lot of those games.
Yeah.
Dick Tony was a great defense coordinator.
They didn't light up the scoreboard with Neil Brown. You're right.
You take Neil Brown and you take away Coning, and you take away my buddy, the offensive guru.
Well, I mean, Tony Franklin was never there when.
I know, but Tony Franklin.
He was there when Neil Brown was an assistant, but he was never there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But it was his philosophy, sort of, But
Troy had Slayerman as offensive line coach.
Oh, he's a great coach.
Offensive line coach. They had great coaches.
You look at all these stats. Troy has had great coaches, and and I think they've got good ones right now. We're going to really enjoy watching them play.
Neil's just in a tough league. I mean, you got to score points to win in the Big 12. I mean, Big 12's just got so many great offenses and really, I mean, just great skill players. And unfortunately, West Virginia is not able to recruit those players.
But the difference in West Virginia and Troy? About $4 million.
What was that Bobby Bowden told you? He told you that about
Bobby Bowden told we were sitting around with a bunch of Bobby, with Bowden and several of his assistant coaches. And
Neil's been to 2 bowl games.
Yeah.
But
he said
the record's just not there right now.
He said the difference in Troy and Florida State is money. And he tickled me.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't around, but you were, I think.
Yeah.
My mom went to Florida State out of high school, Troy High School. She graduated in 1958. It wasn't far removed from being an all-girls school.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that Burt Reynolds played football there, so they had football,
that's right.
but it was not a football power at all.
That's
it was
right.
bad.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one of the most memorable Alabama games I ever remember is when Florida State almost beat a very good Alabama team.
I remember it well.
And it was going to be so shocking because Florida State was so bad. I mean, they hadn't won any games.
And we'll tell you this, something strange about that game.
So what changed?
Something strange about that game was the coach from the press box. That means all year long, he coached from the press box. and he almost beat him, but Ozzie Newsome made a circus catch. And what's the guy that came in and kicked that field goal? Bucky Berry kicked the field goal. Or they would have been averted. Yeah, you're right.
Well, it's like Auburn had disaster averted. Yeah. Auburn should have lost to Jacksonville State.
Yeah.
I don't know how Jacksonville State lost.
Yeah.
Jacksonville State got cocky.
That's right. It was crazy.
I looked at their quarterback, and Jacksonville State was up by about 11 with like 8 minutes left in the game, and he was dancing in the huddle like, "We got y'all."
Yeah, yeah.
And I thought to myself right then, bad mistake, brother.
We were on our way back from some.